Welcome to my YouTube channel where we unpack the big trends shaping our world. And folks, let me tell you, few things shape our world quite like money. Specifically, the kind of money that makes the world go round: global reserve currencies. Today we're diving into a hot topic that's got economists nervously adjusting their spectacles. Could the Chinese Yuan, also known as the renminbi, become the next global reserve currency, rivaling the almighty US dollar? Now I know what you're thinking, Andrew, talking about currencies on a Friday night, has the internet finally broken you? And to that I say maybe, but hear me out. This isn't just about numbers in a bank, this is about power, influence, and who gets to call the shots in the global economy. We'll start by introducing the yuan because, let's be honest, most of us probably couldn't pick it out of a lineup of monopoly money. Then we'll explore why it's gaining ground on the global stage, from the US-China trade war, which, let's face it, is about as fun as a root canal with no anesthesia, to China's manufacturing might, and its frankly terrifying advancements in cutting-edge research. Buckle up, buttercups, because things are about to get economically existential. Alright, let's talk trade wars. Not the fun kind with witty banter and finger guns, but the kind that make everyone's wallets cry. The ongoing US-China trade war, escalated by tariffs that could make even the most seasoned economist weep into their spreadsheets, has been a major catalyst in shifting global financial dynamics. It's like watching two toddlers fight over a rusty toy truck, except the toddlers are economic superpowers and the toy truck is worth trillions of dollars. Since 2018, the US has been slapping tariffs on Chinese goods like they're going out of style. We're talking tariffs as high as 145%. Which, for those of you keeping score at home, is basically an economic chokehold disguised as a tax. Naturally, China, being the mature and reasonable economic powerhouse that it is, retaliated with tariffs of up to 125% on US imports. It's a full-blown tariff tango out there, folks, and nobody's winning. These tit-for-tat measures, aside from giving economists heart palpitations, have pushed China to reduce its reliance on the US dollar. Think of it like this. If you're constantly worried about your neighbor stealing your garden gnome, you might start hiding your valuables indoors, right? Well, China's doing the same thing, but instead of garden gnomes, it's their economy. And instead of hiding things indoors, they're looking for ways to bypass the dollar entirely. For example, the People's Bank of China, which is like the Beyoncé of Chinese banking, powerful, influential, and always impeccably dressed, has allowed the yuan to weaken slightly to offset the impact of those pesky tariffs. This makes Chinese exports more competitive, like a sale at your favorite store, but on a global scale. More importantly, China's been busy striking deals and shaking hands like a politician on election day, promoting yuan-based trade settlements with countries like Argentina and Russia. They're basically saying, hey world, we've got a new currency in town and it's here to stay. And you know what? Judging by the chatter on the internet, people are starting to listen. Even on platforms like X, formerly known as Twitter, where the discourse is usually about as nuanced as a sledgehammer, there's been talk that this whole trade war debacle might actually be the push the yuan needs to step out from the dollar's shadow and claim its place on the global stage. Let's be honest, we've all been there. You're walking down the street, minding your own business, when suddenly you're blinded by a sea of cheap t-shirts, all emblazoned with the same three words, Made in China. China's reputation as the world's manufacturing powerhouse is about as subtle as a glitter cannon in a library. They produce everything from the phone in your pocket to the socks on your feet, and they do it at a scale that would make even the most ambitious sweatshop owner blush. In 2024 alone, China ran a goods surplus that would make Scrooge McDuck jealous, exporting far more than it imports. We're talking nearly $1 trillion, folks. That's a lot of t-shirts. This manufacturing dominance isn't just good for accumulating mountains of cheap plastic toys, it also gives the yuan a certain credibility. Think of it like this. You'd probably trust a currency backed by a country with a proven track record of producing, well, everything, over a currency backed by a country that's basically just a giant pile of debt and empty promises, right? Some people are even calling the yuan the petro-yuan, because countries like Russia and Iran are increasingly using it for oil trades, which, let's face it, is about as close to real-world monopoly money as you can get. Unlike the US dollar, which is backed by the whims of the US financial market, which is about as stable as a Jenga tower built by a caffeinated squirrel, the yuan is backed by something far more tangible, China's industrial might. They're basically saying, our currency is good because, Well, just look at all the stuff we make, and you know what? They've got a point. As if that weren't enough, those pesky tariffs we talked about earlier are actually pushing Chinese firms to diversify their markets, expanding their reach into Southeast Asia and Europe like a bamboo plant on a growth spurt. This, in turn, is increasing the yuan's use in global trade, making it the economic equivalent of that friend who's always invited to every party because, well, everybody likes them. The more widely the yuan is used, the stronger its case becomes as a reserve currency. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, like when you buy a banana costume for Halloween because you think it'll be funny, but then everyone tells you how great you look and suddenly you're the life of the party. The yuan's not quite at the life of the party stage yet, but it's definitely making its way to the snack table. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say the panda in the room. For years, China's been known for its, shall we say, creative interpretations of Western products. They were the kings of the knockoff, the masters of the slightly off brand name. But lately, something's changed. China's no longer content with just copying the homework, they're writing the textbook. In fields like AI, quantum computing, and renewable energy, you know, the kind of stuff that sounds like it belongs in a sci-fi movie but is actually happening right now, China is closing the gap with the US faster than a cheetah on a sugar rush. In 2024, a Chinese AI startup called DeepSeek, which sounds like something out of a Black Mirror episode, but in a good way, spurred a rally in Hong Kong markets that would make even the most jaded Wall Street tycoon crack a smile. This wasn't just a fluke, folks. It's a sign that investors are waking up to the fact that China's tech prowess is no longer a joke. They're not just churning out cheap knockoffs anymore, they're developing cutting-edge technology that's making the rest of the world look like they're stuck in the Stone Age. The Chinese government, in a move that would make any libertarian spontaneously combust, has been pouring money into research and development like it's going out of style. Their Information Technology Application Innovation Initiative, which sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry, but is actually a pretty big deal, aims to reduce China's reliance on Western technology and foster self-sufficiency. They're basically saying, we've got this, thank you very much. As China exports its increasingly sophisticated technology around the globe, more and more countries might start adopting the yuan for these transactions. It's like when you were a kid and you wanted the same cool toys as the popular kid in school. Suddenly, everyone wants to be best friends with China, and the yuan is the hottest toy on the playground. A stronger yuan could even help stabilize global trade amidst the ongoing tariff volatility, which, let's face it, is about as predictable as the weather in a hurricane. It would be like having a giant yuan-shaped umbrella to shield us from the economic storm. And who wouldn't want that? So what's the takeaway from all of this? Is the yuan about to usurp the dollar and become the Beyoncé of global currencies? Well, not so fast. The US dollar still dominates the global financial system, with free capital flows and a level of trust that's taken decades to build. It's like that old comfy sweater you can't bring yourself to throw away, even though it's got holes in it and smells vaguely of mothballs. But China's playing the long game, folks. Their strategic moves, from diversifying their trade partners to becoming a tech innovation powerhouse, are building a strong case for the yuan. The trade war, while about as much fun as a root canal performed by a drunk dentist, has actually pushed China to internationalize the yuan, with initiatives like the digital e-RMB paving the way for future global use. It's like they say, sometimes you have to break a few eggs to make an economic omelet. The Chinese yuan is a currency backed by manufacturing muscle and scientific ambition. It's the up-and-comer, the underdog, the one to watch. So, will the yuan eventually overtake the dollar, or is the greenback here to stay? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get the economic debate raging. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more deep dives into the wild world of global trends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.